Hello everybody. Hi guys. First of all, Happy New Year. We hope that you guys had a great start of the new year. We had a really good holidays with family and friends, a lot of food, pretty busy beginning of the new year with travel and work, but we're back at it. And what we want to do more this year is to answer questions, frequently asked questions, and do more videos regarding to that. So today we are doing a video regarding...
So today we're doing a video regarding a question that we get very often, which is how do we find an apartment in Paris? How do you find an apartment in Paris if you're new to Paris? So we are going to share some insight on how we've done so far.
And today we are in a beautiful store called Maison Nordik. They have furniture and deco straight from Scandinavia, beautiful stuff. Yeah, some inspiration on how you can decorate your Parisian apartment.
Once you find one.
Once you find one, exactly. So we have a few tips to share.
So looking for an apartment as a newcomer can be a little overwhelming and challenging, and it doesn't necessarily get easier as time goes on. It's just a matter of having insight of the best way to find an apartment, the ins and outs and things like that. So today we prepared 5 tips of how to find an apartment that we've learned along the way in the process of finding our various apartments. So we are going to jump right in and share those 5 tips with you. How do you want to start?
Yeah, so tip number 1 is knowing what you want. To be able to find something regarding your criteria, you need to know how big you want the apartment to be, what your budget is, if you want to rent solo, if you want to rent with other people, if you want it to be far from the center city, if you want to be in the suburbs, close to a metro station or not. All those things, when you figure those, we have to figure those things out first, which will make the process of finding an apartment much easier.
So that leads us to tip number 2. Once you have an idea of what you want, you can start looking. By knowing what you want, it kind of gears your research to the correct places to look for an apartment. So for example, if you want to have roommates, you can look at websites like PAP or Facebook groups that are dedicated to finding roommates or an apartment in Paris. If you are just looking for a general apartment, if you want to live alone, there's many ways to do so. You can go through an agency with websites like C'est Loger, Le Bon Coin,
The American Church?
Yes, the American Church, they post ads on a bulletin board that you can go check out. Very old school, but there's always interesting things there. Also the Swedish Church.
Swedish Church as well, yes.
So I'll add a lot of links below with more information on places that you can look. And once you have what you want, you know where you're looking, you have to prepare something that's called a dossier. So what is a dossier? Basically, it's your golden ticket to being able to find an apartment. Finding an apartment in Paris isn't the hard part. There's a lot of offers out there. The hard part is getting accepted for the apartment that you want. So in your dossier, you should prepare a lot of information about yourself. It's a bit personal. It's weird to send all that information to someone that you don't know, but it's kind of necessary.
Part of the culture here.
So basically, you put together an application with your last 3 pay stubs, your work contract. It's ideal if you have a CDE, which is like an indefinite contract. But if you have a CDD, it's okay. If you're a student, for example, you'll need someone to co-sign on your lease. Normally, it needs to be someone that lives and works in France. But if you go through an agency or people that have that are accustomed to working with foreigners, they'll sometimes accept an international garant, which is a co-signer. What else, Hannah?
A photo of your passport, or maybe just a picture of who you are and what you look like. They also would need you sometimes to write a personal letter so they can get in touch and read about a little bit of who you are. It's kind of like a job application looking for apartments in Paris, actually. So imagine your Facebook profile, but in a paper form, ready to be handed over like this to a complete stranger. That's what it's about.
Yeah. So I've seen people go really in to detail with a lot of information, extra information than what they would ask for, adding pictures, adding letters like Hannah mentioned.
Yeah.
You have to realize that there's going to be a lot of people looking for the same apartment, so you have to kind of stand out.
Which leads us to tip number 4. When you go looking for an apartment visit, really, when you come with your dossier, it's very important, but the actual make it or break it deal will be your charm. The connection you have with the landlord. Sometimes your dossier is not that strong, but so is your personality, so they will go for that instead because they like you. So when you come to look for an apartment, be ready to stand out, be positive, and be like, hey, I am that person, and convince them.
It's true. The current apartment that I'm in, I spent 2 hours talking with the landlord. I had a really great connection, and I think that I got the apartment just because I was American. He loved LA. So that was our common little point that connected, and I got my apartment.
Voila.
So our last tip is tip number 5, which is have patience. So the whole process can be either short if you're lucky, or it can be really long. So just keep your motivation, keep positive, be patient, things will work out. There's more than enough apartments here. You'll end up finding a place that will accept you, don't worry. And then once you actually find a place, you're gonna sign your contract. Hannah, you have?
Well, I have important things to tell you guys. Make sure every detail is on the contract. I've been schemed once regarding to how much money I gave in deposit. I ended up leaving with half of it because it was not properly written in my contract. So I highly recommend you guys to make sure everything is written in detail. How much you pay, how big the apartment is, how long you're going to stay there, in what condition the apartment was.
That's
when
important.
you moved in, take pictures, make sure you document things so you won't get scammed when you leave the place.
Yes, that's very important.
Yes. What else can we say?
So then once you find a place,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna move in.
Yeah.
And
the fun
of
part.
course, the fun part, decorating.
Ta-da.
You can come to really nice places like Maison Nordik and find cute decorations, these lovely chairs that I want to take home with me.
Me too.
Where are some other places that you can find decorations?
IKEA, of course.
Mhm.
IKEA, everybody's favorite place to start, right? What else do we have? We have Monoprix.
You have Hema.
Hema is also really good.
You have that store I don't know how to pronounce, Shorsters Green, Danish store.
Sister Irene.
I was very Sister Irene.
Should try.
They have really beautiful things. It's Danish. It's a Danish shop. Not expensive.
No.
I think there's 2 in Paris.
Yeah.
Monoprix. Tati.
Yeah.
There's many places.
Mhm.
We'll add more below. So that's basically it as far as our tips
on how to
find an apartment.
yeah. Why don't you share how you find your place?
So I've had a total of 3 apartments in Paris. The first one was when I was a student. I came with high hopes of living in a beautiful Parisian apartment and thought I would be able to easily find a place once I arrived sur place. And that was not the case. I had my dossier, was not very attractive, didn't manage to find an actual apartment, so I ended up finding student housing through Cruz. It was in La Chapelle, which wasn't the most ideal place to be as a first timer in Paris, but it was okay. The building that I lived in was actually quite nice. It was only 2 years old, so that was nice. And then I moved into an apartment in the 20th near Belleville. The process was pretty smooth. It didn't take too long to find. And then my current place where I'm at was like probably one of the hardest places to find. It was just a matter of like going on a lot of visits, not getting accepted. But in the end, like I mentioned, I lived with my boyfriend. We ended up visiting a place, meeting directly with the landlord, because in the beginning we were looking with agencies, and in particulier, which is directly with the landlord. We ended up having a conversation with him for like 2 hours. It was a little awkward, but we ended up getting accepted on the spot, so that was awesome. It was furnished. It's really lovely. Great location. So that's pretty much how I found my places in Paris. How about you, Hannah?
Well, I have been super lucky. I think I'm one of the rare people who have this kind of smooth apartment looking situations in Paris. I arrived contacting an old landlord that I knew when I was here as a student. He said I could stay at his place for 3 months. As soon as I moved in, I started looking for an apartment. I found an apartment within 2 months. Had no dossier. She liked me. I got it. Second place I have now is because good friends helped me out. So I had a really, really, really lucky process, and I have a little solo studio, 20 square meters in the 11th. I love living there. So I've been very lucky, and good people have been helping me to find places here. So don't take me as a reference. I've been
But
super
it's
lucky.
an example that you can just be really lucky.
Yes.
Or you can have a challenging time, but it's a part of the process. And I guess our advice to you is just be optimistic.
Hi guys, so I hope you enjoyed our tips on how to find an apartment in Paris. We're actually going to head over to my place to do a Parisian apartment tour, and I'm looking forward to sharing my space with you. Come on!